Welcome to MBA Podcaster. Welcome to IMD. I'm your host, Sojin Son. I'm ongoing my fourth month here at IMD, and it's been a tremendous experience. We're a class of just 90 students going through an intense one-year MBA program. I have to say, it's challenging, highly stimulating, but absolutely rewarding. Today, I want to take you to the behind the scenes of IMD, show you around the campus, and get you some vital admissions tips. Joining us is IMD Admissions Director Lisa Piguet. She'll go over admissions requirements and give you advice on preparing your application. You'll also meet several of my classmates. So, stay with us as we share with you how to get into IMD.
The person that actually applies to IMD is somebody who's extremely driven, has high aspirations to be a global manager or leader or an entrepreneur to run their own company. There's somebody who actually is interested in leading big projects or teams. The people that we actually choose are, I would say, very achievement-oriented. They're very good on teams. They have really good interpersonal skills. They're globally and internationally minded. And the other interesting thing about IMD, the people that we choose are people who are interested in making a difference in the world.
I remember that I had a kind of a cultural shock when I met for the first time my Russian MBA classmates. I thought, wow, I had to really travel here to Switzerland with all my business experience, with a great network I had that time in Russia, in order to meet for the first time these truly exceptional Russians. People with a great career, with very impressive business achievements, but at the same time very simple, very open, respectful, and willing to develop others. And you know, it really feels like that. It really feels that IMD is selecting the jewels from every single nationality. And this, at the end, forms its unique culture of intellectual wealth, of openness, of respect, of collaboration and innovation.
When I looked at the biographies of all the students, it was really clear that people came from all over the world, and not just because they were born in different countries, but because they had worked in a lot of different countries. They had had very diverse experiences, both personally and professionally, as it relates to the world. And to me, I really wanted to be at this epicenter of diversity.
IMD students are on average 31 years old, which brings a lot of experience into the classroom. I'm learning so much from my fellow students as well as from the professors. The professors also have a very close connection to the business world. Professors are spending about 1/3 of their time doing consulting work with large corporations. And when they're not working with MBAs, they're teaching executives. So they have the ability to bring a lot of real-life, current business topics into the classroom.
IMD is extremely unique in just the amount of individualized attention that you receive. You get a lot of one-on-one counseling, a lot, especially in regards to career services. They spend a lot of time not only figuring out who you are, but what your background is, exactly where you want to go. And they know every single one of us by name. And so they can very easily say, okay, well, you know what, I've got a specific opportunity that's coming, and I know exactly who might be interested in it. The leadership stream is absolutely incredible. They spend a lot of time observing you in groups, pretty much you do a lot of self-evaluations, a lot of group evaluations, a lot of counseling evaluations, so that you really get to discover a lot about yourself and really what you might actually bring to the table going forward.
The IMD MBA program is 1 year long. You start in January and finish in December. You may be thinking, great. But in fact, the program condenses the same amount of hours from 2-year program into 1 year. So that means we are here all the time.
The program is really intense. We spend 10 hours a day in school, in the classroom, and then we spend the rest of the 7-8 hours in study groups, working on projects or doing personal homework. So ultimately, you're spending a good 18 hours a day doing work. And you know, people will always ask me, you know, how does that feel? And if you're here and you know why you're here and what you want to get out of the program, then ultimately it feels okay and it's manageable because you are reaping the benefits of what you want out of the program. And so you're willing to put in the time and the perspiration, because the more work you put into it, the more benefits that you're going to get out of it.
We truly have a 2-year program that's condensed into 1 year, with the exception of one thing, which is we do not offer internships. So if you look at what we call teaching hours, IMD has as many teaching hours as some of the top US MBA programs. I think actually studying, if you have prior work experience, which all of our MBAs do, doing a 1-year program makes a lot more sense because you're only out of the job market for a year versus 2 years.
The biggest challenge of applying to business school is actually pulling all the parts together. I know it's tough. I think I spent the most amount of time on making sure that I had written solid essays. It's your voice and your chance to tell the admission committee who you are. Let's get some more advice on preparing your application.
Like most European schools, we do require work experience. At IMD, the minimum is 3 years of full-time work experience. The average is 7. And what we like to see in an applicant that applies to IMD is, so we like to see what we call solid career progression. We're quite achievement oriented, so we'd like to see people who have had achievements. We like to see something called business acumen. So if you've been a project manager, managing teams, et cetera, we'd like to see that in an application and in an applicant. And we're looking for leadership potential. A lot of younger applicants that apply don't necessarily have leadership experience yet, and they think about leadership as being managing teams, et cetera. What we're looking for is the potential in somebody, and we can see that throughout the application. We can see that in the letters of recommendation, what they've been doing on an extracurricular basis, et cetera, et cetera. We've been told that IMD is a very intimidating place to apply. So what we actually did is we created something that you can actually download online called Assess Your Chances. And Assess Your Chances is a free mini application that you can actually fill out, and it's actually assessed by one of my team members who's part of the admissions committee, and you're actually given a real response as to what you can do to enhance your application or if you should apply or not.
My primary advice would be to current applicants is that they should come and visit the program. It's very different from other MBAs, and you don't get the feeling or the sense of it, of what IMD has to offer from the website or the brochures. You have to come here, sit through the class, spend a day with the students, have lunch in the renowned cafeteria, and sort of experience IMD for a day to be able to see whether you fit into the program or not. It's really a question of fit. I think all top business schools provide a great education, but it's about those finer things. IMD is more of a leadership general management program, and you get that sense from the classroom as well.
Having been through IMD's interview process, I know it's like no other school. You'll be observed and evaluated from different angles during a day-long assessment day. My advice, be confident, be yourself, and tell us your story.
If they come to IMD for an interview, they're usually with 6 to 10 other people of their same caliber. And what we're doing at that point, the first thing that they do is a one-on-one interview. The second part of the day is actually something called an impromptu presentation. So when they walk in the door, they're literally handed a mini case where they have a half hour to prepare a 5-minute presentation, which they'll give to everybody plus the interviewers that are there that day. And we put them back into groups to solve another problem, give them more variables, and then the group has to come up with another presentation. And then they usually have lunch with some of the current students at IMD, or if we're in Singapore, Latin America, we have alumni come in and have lunch with them, so then they can talk about the program, ask any questions that they want. Then the second part of the day in the afternoon is a true case study that they're actually sent 2 weeks prior to coming to the program. And they are expected to prepare for the case study. And that's actually taught by one of the professors that's teaching in the MBA program. And they teach it just like they would in the class. And then they break them up into groups, come back, and they have another discussion about the exercise that the professor gave. At the end of that process, if they're at IMD, oftentimes they get to go to class, which is great because they get to see how a class operates. Sometimes not. But at the end of that day, we decide who actually gets into the program, and we will get back to them within 10 business days.
For myself personally, it was very important to understand and to identify my school. It just has to feel right. It can be about the structure and the content of the program. It can be about faculty and the alumni network. But most important is those with whom you will spend at least 18 hours per day during 11 months of your life. And I remember very well when I saw for the first time the brochure with IMD MBA class profile, with the detailed profiles of all 90 students, and with one phrase on the cover: 90 exceptional individuals who will shape the future of business. And at that very moment I understood that I want to be one of these 90.
Hope you have some clear idea about IMD's admissions process. IMD is about a whole new level of unique experience, and your IMD experience will start from the beginning of your application. So start now, and you will realize what it means. That's a wrap for this episode of MBA Pod TV. I'm your host, Sojin Son. Visit us at mbapodcaster.com to register for weekly audio and video shows. Join us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up with the latest news and insights on your MBA application process.